Welcome everybody to Dynamics GP Lifecycle Announcements and what's coming in the future. I want to thank Molly and team from DynamicsCon for inviting me. This is my first virtual event with the team, and I'm super excited to spread the love around. So it's always good to talk about GP, my favorite topic. So my name is Terry Heley. You probably recognize my name. Maybe helped you on a support case, or you heard me present before. I'm an escalation engineer at Microsoft and do kind of several different hats at Microsoft, but mainly helping on the support team and working on features and presenting. And today I'm going to talk about some things that we have coming up, some features that we've released, and what we have going forward. So I've created a slide deck that they'll share out with you, and it has some hidden links in there as well. So don't worry if you're not catching everything today in the presentation. It should all be provided in my PowerPoint that they'll share with you. So first, if you haven't heard, the exciting news that in about July last summer, so it'll be a year this July, we extended the life cycle for Dynamics GP. So it is super exciting. Yes, I'm going to say that, really exciting. So it goes to 2028 and beyond. So you can see down here on the bottom right of my slides, it's 2028 and beyond. And so Microsoft Dynamics GP a few years ago, when we started doing the 18.2, 18.3 versioning, we were moved to modern lifecycle. And that is great versus being on a fixed lifecycle. That gave us a wide range of opportunities for our product. So now we extended the lifecycle. So just to make sure we've all heard, we've been communicating it over the last few months. So I wanted to put this in there so you're aware. I link you to my lifecycle page as well as the blog that I released in July announcing this. So no more. There was a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt, that FUD out there in the community, and we just need to stay strong because it's not true. If it was true, I would tell you, so count on me for that. But again, we have a great life cycle. We're going to talk about when we're releasing different items and what's coming and what we have done. So just don't worry. You don't have to jump to any other ERP. Don't feel threatened by some of the calls you may get or items you may hear. They're just trying to, you got to do what's right for you and move when it's right for you. And if you're looking, that's great. And we will help you through that, but don't feel you have to move within the next year or two. We will be here for you. So I want to thank all of you as customers and partners that are attending and just for the great year we had. We released, I'm going to talk about the 18.4 version that we released in October of last year. And so it's all due to things that you as customers and partners have requested. So on this link on my slides, it goes out to our suggestion database. So, we look to those suggestions and we're looking now for features for the next release. So it's important. And I know many of you will say, hey, I voted on that or I submitted that. So, we're at a life cycle or stage in our game of a product that we want to do things that our existing customers want. And so by you voting on these shows that, hey, we have 30 votes, 30 of our customers like that. So I just want to say thank you. And that's where we get all our feedback on the product. So let's look a little bit at the release plan. And this has been the same year over year and will continue to be the same. So we just released a January hotfix that I will talk about what we included in that January hotfix. Come March, here it is coming to be March, and we're going to release a DVD and an MSP that I will also talk about a little bit later. Then, as usual, we are going to have a June-July hotfix, and typically this will cover changes that Canada releases for taxes, but we also have fixes in there for US as well. So anything we need to get out to our customers as a fix, we will have in this June-July update. So there will be a code update drop in June-July. Then we always move into October, and that is our feature release month. So we will have a release in October that has features, table changes. It's bigger than normal. And we are already working on that. And I have a little secret I'm going to share at the end about these features. So stay tuned. But October is always our feature release. Then November comes around and the US comes out with their year-end changes. So we release in November with our U.S. W-2s, 1099s, all the changes for the year in November. And then we round out the year with our Canadian year-end changes. So that's always typically our life cycle. We might have a hot fix drop in there in September, or depending on what regulatory changes come up. But this is our typical life cycle, and this is what we're going to have going forward. There's a lot of things with modern, and I link to the modern life cycle in here. I have a blog out there. If you just bing Terry Heley, what does modern life cycle mean to me? It is good to be on modern life cycle because we stay current. And with some of the things we're going to talk about later with the emails that we're seeing, we're staying current. And for security reasons, it's just important to not be back on our old legacy products. So there are upgrade things off of my hot topic page that we talk. And with Modern Lifecycle, in there it states you should apply at least one update a year. And I know that's not typical for a GP install. Usually we're an every other type of year program. But, a lot of people have to install year-end based on 1099 changes, but if you install one update a year, you stay supported. Now, if you didn't apply an update in a year, that's okay. You're still going to get support. It's just if you're asking for us to fix a hot fix down here on an older version, we're not going to do that. We want to fix on our current versions and spend our resources on that. So that's what Modern Life Cycle means, and we'd like you to stay as current as possible, and that's where we're putting forth all our effort on features and fixes is in current releasing product. So let's just talk a little bit about the October 2021 release. Just so if you're not on it, we see a lot of people now upgrading. And so what we released in fall of 2021 was features around existing customers or what they wanted. We focused on these 3 pillar items: customer requests, ease of use, and extending functionality we already have. So customers may say, hey, I really like this in workflow, but I'd like it if you did this as well. So these are kind of the areas we focused on. In my slide deck, I have linked to 2 major blogs that we typically do on a release. The upgrade blog series, so everything you need to know about an upgrade, and then what are the features and what are the changes in here and documentation. So those are the 2 links. I'm not going to get into the detail because some of you may already be updated, but I want to highlight those. So if you are going to upgrade, those are the links you want to use. Look at the features. And just to throw it out there, there's a list of a lot of features that we added out there. Plus we fixed probably 50 to 60 different quality reports. And sometimes those in themselves are features or things customers wanted. If we have 20 people reporting a quality report, here we just fixed a bug plus all these features. So, I mean, it's the blog has the documentation on bug fixes and each feature and how you implement them. And so there's just some exciting things here. And this is kind of what you're going to see in our next release of 2022 as well. Smaller, probably features, but things that customers want. So we did a lot of things around payables. We had some payroll information in there. We updated some workflow, but some really nice features that our customers wanted. I wanted to highlight with you as we shift a little bit to what we have released recently. So with the January hotfix, there was, some of you may have received some security notice emails that there was a security upgrade that you should apply for Dynamics GP, maybe eConnect, web services, web client. I have a few of them listed here. So on my January hotfix blog, which I have linked in the slides, I do list out all these security changes. So if you're using these products, we highly recommend you to install the January hotfix. So if you're going to patch your GP version for the January hotfix, you're also going to want to patch web client, eConnect, and web services if you're using those. So it's just important. We haven't made changes to some of these in a few versions or patches. So if you apply January hotfix, you want to apply patches for these as well. In my upgrade blog series, we did go back on each of those blogs for web services and web client, and we updated them so you know your uninstall and reinstall steps or how you should upgrade them best with the January hotfix. So we have that all noted out there for you. So it's just important to call this out, and if you get an email on it, obviously it's important, and there were security changes that we recommend you to have. Intermittent email. I think we're all maybe dealing with this a little bit lately, and I have some communication out there. We have 2 major blogs out on it, but it's really not GP. I mean, yes, we're emailing in GP, but it's a greater issue with Exchange. And mainly we're seeing it with our customers that are on versions prior to 18.2. So probably our 2010, 2013, GP 2015, GP 2016 customers. Some of our legacy customers, if they're sitting on these older versions and using Exchange with the basic authentication, Exchange is kind of pumping the brakes a little bit on these customers and saying, hey, you need to upgrade because they're going away from basic authentication. And this was even a year ago they had announced it. And then with COVID, they gave us another extension on it. So we kind of had a little reprieve, but now they're really forcing our hand. And what it states out there is as of October of 2022, we really need to have everybody using modern authentication or MFA in GP. So it means you need to upgrade to 18.3, or if you're going to upgrade, you should go right up into 18.4, the latest version at that time. So we do have a workaround in the email blog that you can work on, but I just want to highly bring this up that with the intermittent emails, it is a temporary workaround, but we really want to look at getting upgraded by that October timeframe. I link in here to, we have emails failing and workflow emails failing, and then our troubleshooting guide. So almost every day I've been updating on our doc site the troubleshooting guide for email, things we learn, maybe items we learn about MFA, Exchange, settings that'll help you through this. So we're continually building out our troubleshooting guide, and it changes all the time. So I just want to link that out there as if you're new to MFA and maybe need to set it up. And MFA is multi-factor authentication. So that's going to be, we're going to go to modern authentication versus basic authentication. And so that's what we're going to use in GP is MFA, and we have to set that up. And it's new for some of us. And so that's why you're going to need to look at some of that and maybe test it with the test upgrade as well. So also what's happening in March. So I just wanted to throw this out there. It's not out there yet, but we're looking in support. It's a little downtime for us. We just finished the release and then we had year end and all our 1099s and W-2s are out the door. So we're just sigh of relief is happening now. And so what we're working on is a video learning series. And you can sure send me an email of any topics, but we're kind of covering some of the high hitters we have, and we're doing video learning. Everybody likes to learn with video, it seems, but not 60 minutes of video. We used to call them snacks. We're just going to do a little snack training of a 10-minute video, and maybe we're going to work on MFA setup because that's going to be a big one for our customers going forward. And maybe we'll do one on email troubleshooting because we're getting a lot of calls on that. So we're going to focus on a kind of a March blitz of video learning. And so I'm working on a blog series that I'm going to probably get out here in the next week of what that training is going to include. And then that it'll all be in the blog and then little video snippets for you to watch about these different items. But these are some of the areas we're kind of looking at and focusing on now. So make sure you subscribe to the GP Microsoft sponsored blog. That's the one we control and support. So when we had these email issues, we get you going out there with these blogs. And so it's really important if you subscribe to them that you get email notifications. And so then you're in the know about what's going on, or maybe there's an outage or what's happening if you subscribe to our blogs. And so once we get that, we'll highlight it within the Connect within GP as well. And then you can see some of that learning and brush your skills up on MFA or learn some new options. I also want to highlight our documentation out there. We have been working a lot of getting away from the old GP PDFs that you guys know and love. I know you do. But really, we got to get into GitHub and get our documentation out there on Docs. That means that anybody can contribute to our documentation. And you can do that today. We have a lot of the manuals already out there. Our team tries to add more and more all the time. But the email documentation is out there and anyone can contribute to that documentation. So I want to make sure that you have this link to the documentation. I also have it out on my directory or resource page for downloads, but you can print off there. You can search in there. We continue to add more and more out on that GitHub Docs site for you. I also want to talk about, we recently had some webinars, one with Integrity and Microsoft sponsored one as well. But just to call your attention to it, if you're using Dynamics GP Human Resources and Payroll Suite, which was an OEM agreement with Integrity Data, that we are ending this agreement. And so that's why we're releasing the DVD in March and also an MSP, because as of March 1st, these products will all be removed from the price list. So I kind of call some of them out here. We did a detailed webinar. Send me an email if you need those slides or if you have any questions, but we've publicized it quite a bit, but I wanted to leave this in there and a link to the blog around it. So you'll still be supported, but within a year, so as March of 2023, you should really go, if you use these products, you should go get them from Integrity Data. You can still use them in GP for the next year and we will support you on them, but we recommend you going forth that you get the products like payroll extensions, which is deduction in arrears, payroll integration to payables. You get them from Integrity. So we've ended some of our other OEM agreements as well. And so it's very similar to those. And we give you a whole nother year to work on that. But we're just drawing attention to it now and announcing it. And we all know Integrity Data. They're a Gold Microsoft partner. I just wanted to put this slide in there from them that they are going to honor the free payroll product pieces that are free. If you have them today, there's just enhancements on them, and you can reach out to them on any of the changes or questions you have on the OEM. So I wanted to have their email and information in the slide deck as well. So it'll be a good transition, nothing you have to worry about. No timers set in the system that it's going to fail on March 1st or anything like that. You have time. So go ahead and take a look at some of those areas. And if you need more detail on it, send me an email as well. So let's look at a sneak peek, if you can keep a secret, about what's coming or may be coming in October 2022. I can't promise anything, but looking at our suggestions, I wanted to highlight some of the areas that we're looking to maybe change. So we're, of course, going to have more MFA updates. There'll always be things as customers are starting to use MFA and learn with it. They're like, well, we need this or we see this. So there'll definitely be more things around MFA. You're probably going to see additional changes around the auto posting features and email that we added in 18.4. We're going to expand on that some more. Maybe something around maximizing, minimizing windows. I'm not going to tell you the details, but you can figure that one out. We added some scheduled check links a couple versions back, and it's been requested to maybe add a time option for that, which I can totally see. It's kind of like right now out there as to me, a part feature. If we don't have time, how can we schedule check links? Anyway, we're looking at some of that. And then you all really love the print email SOP documents we have out there, and someone requested, let's do this for POP as well. So we're looking at adding that functionality for POP. And there's a lot more. These are just some of the highlights I drew out of what I kind of know we're working on. But there's a lot out there. We're also looking at, Windows 11 SQL, that a new version of SQL that came out there. They will probably also be supported. Hopefully some of it by mid-year we'll get on the system requirements page, but by fall of 2022, we'll have those other new products out there to be on our system requirements page and supported for Microsoft Dynamics GP. So just know that that's coming as well. And there will be more tidbits shared as we get things out there. And of course, whenever we release a service pack, I always do a blog. So if you subscribe to that blog I had listed, you will get an email of all the changes in that patch. So you know what's getting fixed in those service packs. All right. With that, we'll go ahead and open it up today for question and answer.
All right, Terry, that was pretty good. That's a pretty loaded 20 minutes there. I'm impressed.
Thank you, Bob.
That's pretty awesome. It's great to hear wonderful news about Dynamics GP and the future. The future is really bright, no doubt about it.
That's right. It's bright in Fargo, North Dakota today. So I'm excited about that.
It's so bright, the future, I'll have to wear shades.
I love it.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, to all you leprechauns out there. So we have a couple of questions that came in during the chat, which I'm going to have to take these off temporarily so I can read here. So Diane asked a question. It was answered in the chat, but it's worth reiterating here.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently on Dynamics GP 2018 R2, planning to get Modern Lifecycle next year. How many hops are going to be required if they're on GP 2018 R2 to get to the current release?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, Diane. Thanks for asking. And I agree, there is some miscommunication out there. We're going to try to get away from, if I'm on this hop here that we've done in the past, because really with modern, we should be, just 1 year back. And again, I know that's just the policy of modern. So that's why we can't really, go back and forth with that, because that's the Microsoft policy of modern, 1 year back. But we do test about 1.5 years back usually. So if you are on some older versions, like at 2018 R2 is fine. You should be able to do it in one hop. But if you're a big company, you have a lot of ISVs, you're more complex, a good test upgrade is recommended specific for you. We so far haven't removed too many upgrade folders. That's what I'd worry about if you're on an older version. But I try to put some notes on the Hot Topic page and list that out on our updates. So mainly it's the Hot Topic link for that.
Gotcha. And as our good friend down under, Mr. Musgrave reminds us, good day, mate, by the way, test your ISVs, right? Don't forget your ISVs are part of your upgrade. Don't think that you just got to worry about the core ERP with Dynamics GP. All the ISV solutions need an upgrade too.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And look at your set file, grab some set files from multiple machines, because we recommend them all to be the same, but maybe you have a customization on a payables machine that you're not aware of. So just do your homework and make sure you have all your customizations covered.
So correct me if I'm wrong, going back to Diane's question. If you're on Dynamics GP 2018 or 2018 R2, mainstream support for those releases ends next summer, right? Summer of 2023, I think.
Right. You are right. So, in support, we'll try to help you as much as we can, but really, we want to get you upgraded with some of this email changes we're seeing and MFA, multi-factor authentication. It's really best and good for your company and security to get up on the latest release. And honestly, once you're up into that 18.2, 18.3, the upgrades are going much easier. We're not making a lot of architectural changes that are going to break your system. So it's just really good to try and stay as current as you can.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Upgrades getting easier for sure, and making sure you are on the newest release. It's coming out every October, which is great. I loved your sneak peek, by the way. Always good. Check link timing options and all this multi-factor authentication with emails. It's good, important stuff. The product is continuing to get better, and it's great to see that.
Yep.
Here's a question from Josh. I am assuming Canadian Payroll is remaining with Microsoft. You talked about integrity data and some of the OEM changes there. Any word of new features or features being on par with the US version? Right.
That's a good question, Josh. Thanks for asking it. So with Canadian Payroll, we do own that product. It's not, Integrity was our last OEM agreement, we call it. And so Canadian Payroll, we own that product. It's part of the life cycle. It will continue to have tax updates with it. We're not doing a lot of feature work specifically in Canadian Payroll, as you've seen over the years, but we are doing regulatory changes and tax updates, T4s, R1s, and such. Yep, we are looking at some payroll features. We added a nice payroll copy and paste in the US side on the last release. And so there'll definitely be some payroll features out there. And I think I saw one question maybe around that OEM announcement for core HR and payroll. And that is all going to stay with Microsoft. So your core HR, human resources, payroll, we have the self-service suite out there, direct deposit, Canadian. That all stays with Microsoft. It's just what was part of the OEM agreement in the Human Resource Solutions Suite.
Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Tim has a question here. With VBA getting phased out, aside from dexterity capable developers, does Microsoft have recommendations?
Yes, that's a great question out there with some of the VBA. And, David, as I see on the chat, and he has a blog out there. If you just bing Lucas Miller and VBA, we did a blog as well on suggestions of what you can do, as a developer to try and get away from some of that VBA. And I think it is a good idea in your company to try to deprecate some of that, because that's what we're kind of seeing in the future. So if you have a lot of VBA, and David has done a great work in the community around that and putting out some blogs and information as well.
Okay. Another question here, inquiring about changes to manufacturing module.
Yeah, manufacturing, right up your alley, right, Bob?
Well, I'm getting there.
It's interesting you bring that up, because we are seeing and support a lot of, over the last year with COVID, a lot of people are starting to implement manufacturing in-house and really use that module. So I can't say we'd see some features, but we're definitely looking at some bug fixes over the next release that we kind of stay away from that complex beast, but we are looking. We have some new developers in that area, so we are looking to fix some bugs and maybe do some features as well. But right now, mainly some bug work in manufacturing.
That's great. There are lots and lots of third parties for a manufacturing module as well. So if you're inquiring about that here or elsewhere, talk to your partner about what's available. There are some really good third parties that really enhance GP's manufacturing module.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. So you talked about the modern lifecycle policy, which is a really, it's great news for GP as an application. Yesterday in Amber Bell's session, which was really fabulous, I asked Amber specifically about, are her customers asking her about modern lifecycle policy? And she said no. Yeah. So I just wish we could get that news out there. It's really important, and let people know that GP has, for all intents and purposes, been promoted to the modern life cycle policy from fixed, and that's really good news. It's just people don't know that.
I agree, Bob. But as much as we think we've been telling the story, there's still just a lot of people out there that don't know. And, some are worried coming off fixed and, am I getting shorted with my support? And really, you're not. It was a great thing that we got modern for GP, because they could have said, hey, you're done as this date. We're not going to develop anymore. And by us announcing last summer that, we're on modern, plus we got extended till 2028 and beyond, you are given these updates, at least a minimum of 3 or 4 a year, which we typically do with hot fixes. So we are required to give you those updates each year. So yes, you might want to look at, it just extends. You don't think that we're ending. Some of them take that fixed life cycle dates, of 2016 that ended in June and says, GP's ending, GP's, dying. And that's not even the true story. And that's an old date out there. So even internally, we have some salespeople, unfortunately, that will take that and turn it into some, FUD out there. So it's just like, just stay the course and listen, talk to your partner. If they have questions, we're here to help. But when it comes and when that date arrives, we will definitely tell the truth about it. But right now we are developing GP. You don't have to rush into anything. And, we have a support team here and product team that are working on it. So
that's exactly right. Dynamics GP here to stay. Your team's working on it. When I want to learn news about what's going on with Dynamics GP, I go to the source, and that's Terry Heley at Microsoft and Fabulous Fargo. I pasted the blog site again in the chat in case you didn't get it the first time. Stay on top of this stuff. Communicate with your partner effectively, and listen to when Terry puts out a blog, I read it twice because I know it's coming from the source. So we are so happy to have you as a resource for Dynamics GP. The future is very bright. Got to have shades. It's 12 o'clock. We got to go. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Terry. And Be healthy, everybody. See you soon.